So in the last session over here, I think everything is completed. So now let's test this solution. Okay, let's test this solution. So we have some error here. The method which is in here, accept execute from approval. So I'm going to run it again. The fuck is this? So starting now. So first I am going to initiate the request. So when we are initiating request, so it should be more than, the loan amount should be more than, okay, it should be more than 25,000. So if you see here, so we have two soap bindings. So one is for initiating request and another one is for sending callback. Okay. So first I will run this interface. So test with Web Services Explorer. Okay. So this is one-way operation. So there you can see, so we get the response here. Since it is its loan amount is high, so that's why this process will take longer time to complete. So that's why we have sent this statement to the user. Okay, we will send an email for further correspondence. Now later on, the BPM application is going to complete the task. Okay, the BPM application will be completing the task, and then you will get the callback. Okay, then you're going to get the callback. Now we need to simulate. Okay, we need to simulate that the BPM user is completing the task. So in order to simulate that, so we're going to use this interface. Okay, we will be using this interface. So loan completion interface. So test with Explorer. So this is the response data. Okay, so this is the response data. Okay. Okay. Now, so he is entering some data. So he's going to click on OK. and so we should have something in the console. So then you can see he has sent the response. So there you have the response. Okay, so there you can see the response. So now this mediation is having, it is dealing with both types of interfaces. It is dealing with synchronous interfaces and it is dealing with asynchronous interfaces also. Okay, it is dealing with synchronous as well as asynchronous interface. Okay, so asynchronous in the sense one way. So generally, so when it comes to SOA applications, okay, when it comes to SOA applications, or especially when it comes to integration, okay, in integration, you can only have two types of communications. One is request response or synchronous, and second one is one way. Okay, second one is one way or asynchronous. But whereas in SOA, okay, whereas in SOA, you have three types of communications. One is, it's a normal one, synchronous. Second one is asynchronous, so that's also normal one. And the third one you have asynchronous with callback. And BPM applications, the current BPM applications are specially very good when it comes to async with callback. Okay, when it comes to async with callback, they're very good. Okay, so if you want to have async with callback, you have to use BPM only. Okay, you have to use BPM only when you want to have async with callback. And you require async with callback generally only when there is a requirement of human task interactions. Okay, when there is a requirement of human task interactions, then you require async with callback. And second thing is, when you are creating session applications, okay, when you are creating session based applications, so that time also you require async with callbacks. So this ESB doesn't have that feature. Not only TIBCO, no ESB has that async with callback features. Okay, so they only deal with synchronous as well as asynchronous. Okay, now this is working fine here. So you are sending the request. So since it is loan amount is high, so that is taken care by the manual approval. Okay, so that is taken care by manual approval. Okay, so you have forwarded request to the manual approval system, and once they complete the task, you're getting the callback here. Okay, once they complete the task, you're getting the callback here. Okay, now let's see so how to implement the Java implementation. Okay, so let's have the Java implementation. Now the Java and Spring implementation. Okay, Java and Spring implementation, both exactly same only. Okay, so they will be have almost same, their configuration is. But only for the Spring, you will be having one more configuration file for this to work on. So that is one config XML file. So only this extra XML file you will be configuring when you're working with Spring. Okay, so otherwise the Java and Spring applications functionality both are same only. Okay, the functionality is exactly same. Okay, now let's see the Java component implementations. How exactly you can have the Java component implementation. Okay, now so in our case the rating is provided by Java. Okay, in our case, the credit rating is provided by Java application. Okay, the credit rating is provided by Java application. Okay, so this application will provide the credit rating. Okay, now let's implement the Java functionality here. So there you have Java component. Okay, there you have Java component. So select the component and specify that somewhere here. Okay, specify that here. So I'm going to name it as credit rating application. Okay, now every component must have interface. Okay, every component must have interface. So I'm going to define interface for that first. So there you have component service. Using that only you can specify the interface. So select that component service. Okay, add component service. So I'll give a name for this. Okay, credit rating. Now go to port type and then select the port type. Okay, so select your port type. Okay, so select the port type and look. Okay, now so this credit rating application will be called from the orchestrate loan request. So for that, so I am going to add a reference for it. Now select this component and select add reference. Add component reference and then name. Okay, credit rating reference. So go to port type and then select the port type. Okay, select the synchronous port type because we will send the rating immediately. Okay, so we'll be sending the rating immediately. So that's why we select this option. Okay, now so let's connect these two. Okay, connect this. Now, so I have to generate this Java implementation. Okay, I have to generate this Java implementation. So what exactly the Java implementation will do is, so it will create one Java project. Okay, it will create one Java project. And for this Java project, it will create one plugin project. Okay, it will create one plugin project. And this plugin project, so it will create one custom feature. Okay, it will create one custom feature. So these things will be created as part of this Java component implementation. Okay, when you try to implement this component, so these three will be created. So it will create one Java project, and it will create, for that it will create one the plugin project, and then it will create one custom feature. So your custom feature will be wrapping the plugin project, and this plugin project will wrap the Java project. Okay, will wrap the Java project. And so one more thing also will be done here, so that is data binding. Okay, that is data binding. So what exactly the data is now, as I've told you, the server is completely based on XMLs and visual files only. Okay, XMLs and visual files only. This data binding, what exactly it's going to do is, so corresponds to your XML schema. Okay, corresponds to XML schema. So it's going to create some Java classes. Okay, corresponds to your XML schema, complex elements, it will create Java classes. Okay, it has to create Java classes. And similarly, corresponds to your visual file. So corresponds to your visual file, it will create one abstract class. Okay, it will create an abstract class. Now, in order to create the Java in order to have the Java representation of XML schemas and visual files, so you need the data binding. Okay, you need the data binding in order to generate the XML schema representation of Java classes and abstract class representation of your visual files. So for that you will be using the Java binding. Now you have two options of using data binding. Okay, you have two options of using data binding. So one is JAX-B. Okay, one is JAX-B, and the second one is XML bins. Okay, second one is XML bins. So these two options you have, so where you can have the data binding. Okay, one is JAX-B and the second one is XML bins. Okay, so those two specifications will provide you abstract class for your visual file and Java classes for your XML schema complex elements. Okay, so now right click on the Java component and select. There you can see generate Java implementation. Okay, so generate Java implementation. So select it. So you can see it is creating one project. Okay, your project name is this. So com samples online services. Okay, that's your project. Now, so select next. So now you have to specify what you want to use, whether your binding should be XML bins or JAX-B. So currently the widely used is JAX-B only, not XML bins. Okay, widely used model is JAX-B only. Okay, it's not XML bins, so it is JAX-B only. So select JAX-B. Okay, so select the type as JAX-B and then finish it. Okay, so there you can see one custom feature is generated. Okay, one custom feature is generated here, and this custom feature will refer the plugin project. Okay, will refer the plugin project, and this plugin project is nothing but your Java project. Okay, is nothing but your Java project. Okay, so everything is created for us. Okay, so this thing you must remember whenever you want to have custom Java features. Okay, whenever you want to have custom Java features, these all things you should remember. Now, if you remember in BW, if you want to work with Java palette, all you have to do is you just have to refer the Java, you just have to refer jar file in the class path of BW. Okay, in the class of BW, you need to refer only the jar file. Okay, so because the BW will be accessing your Java application as a client only. Okay, it will be accessing your Java application as a client only. Your Java application will be running in its own JVM and BW will be running in its own JVM. But whereas here it is not the case. The Java application will be running within grid environment. Okay, it will be running within grid environment. So that's why, so whenever you want to implement the custom Java features, so you have to create, even if you want to use jar file, okay, even if you want to use jar file, you have to create a plugin project based on the jar file. And for that plugin project, you have to create custom feature. So everything here is a plugin only. Okay, everything is here is internally is nothing but plugin only. Okay. Now let's implement the Java class. So this is my Java project. Okay, this is the Java project, and go to src. So expand the package. There you can see abstract Java class you have, and you see what you have in that. So it is implementing a Visual port type. Okay, it is implementing the Visual port type, and that Visual port type is having so one operation, so which is accept loan application. Okay, so this is the abstract method. So whichever class is implementing this abstract class, that class has to implement this abstract method. Okay, so this is the class which is implementing this abstract class. Okay, so this is the credit rating class, so which is extending the abstract class. So which means, so in this class you have to implement that abstract method. So there you have, the body also is defined for us. All you have to do is you just have to fill in the written parameters. But how are you going to fill in the written parameters? You see, the written parameter is of class type. Okay, the written parameter is of class type. Okay, so that's why you have to create the object for it. Okay, you have to create object for that. Okay, so create object for that, and this we will be sending as response. Okay, now so we have to populate some values for that. So res.set. Okay, res.set. So I'm going to add all the values because these are all mandatory values. So I'll just we don't need them, but that schema was configured with mandatory values. So these all things I will specify as null. It's not available. So this factor it is. Now, the credit rating. So we'll just randomly we'll specify some value here as it's numeric values. That's it. Okay, so I'll just print some statement here. Okay, so this is how you will generate the Java application. Okay, the Java functionality. And this Java, this follows the, once again it will follow the OSYA specification. So OSYA is, it's open source SYA, it is open SYA specification. Okay, so OSYA is an open okay, it's an open source consortium for this one. So for service component architecture. Okay, so the Java implementation also is based on the specification that is defined by OSYA. Okay, now so this component will be called from the mediation. Okay, from the mediation we will call this. Okay, okay, so we need to synchronize these changes here. Now select the mediation, so click on the error and select update mediation implementation from component. Okay, select that. Okay, so select it. Okay, now so double click on this mediation implementation. Okay, double click on the mediation implementation. So we will get the rating, we will call the rating system. Okay, so we'll call the rating system. There you have the credit rating. Okay, so in order to call this, so you require invoke operation. So select invoke operation, and I'm going to specify that just before this one. So which means before sending for BPM system, I will get the rating, and that I will send it to the BPM application. So this I'm going to name it as get rating. Okay, now go to target operation and select credit rating reference. Okay, select credit rating. Okay, so input. I'll just map this entire data. So loan request onto loan request. Auto map. Next and finish. Okay, next and finish. And whatever rating it will give us, okay, so whatever rating it will give us, so that information I'm going to store it. I'll select this activity. So input. So just for one of the field, I will map that rating because we just need to check the response. Element app contact loan docs. So here I will add the rating as well. So I will take concat function. Okay, I will take concat function, and then I will specify. So from the data source, I will go to get rating, and there I have credit rating. I'm going to specify the turn to string. Okay, so it is showing some error. So in BW we have mapper check and repair. So similar to that you have show check and repair. Okay, in BW we have mapper check and repair. So here we have show check and repair. So select the option show check and repair. Okay, so select fix options. That's it. Okay. Now let's deploy this. Okay, so let's deploy this application. Okay, run as composite application. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Harsha. See, it's very obvious it is. Without integration, you will never have any BPM. Okay, for any successful BPM implementation, grid is mandatory. So that's why I asked you initially. You guys want only BPM or grid also? If you guys wants to go with only grid, I mean only BPM, like in from the next class itself, we can start BPM itself. I have no issues whatsoever. I'll just set some values here. BW is not preferred. So I'm going to send the request. So there you can see the credit rating is provided. Okay, so there we have the credit rating. Okay, so that's how you can have the Java implementation. Okay, so this is as far as the Java binding is. Okay, and similar to that you will be having the Spring component also. Okay, so similar to that you will be having the Spring component implementation also. But the only thing is the Spring is mostly it's it's an XML based it is. All the configuration will be done in XML. So you will have one extra XML file. Okay, so there you do most of the configuration, but the implementation you will be doing like Java only. Okay, so what we do from next class is from next class we'll start with the BPM, and later on if you are interested later on we'll see other part of group. Okay, so from next class onwards we'll start BPM. Okay, hello, hi, yeah, that's true.